Sweet. You'll get a little button that says this is being recorded. Okay, so yeah, what I'm going to do for you is to tie in how your gut health is actually, it's one of the biggest things for actually your results. Okay, along with training for results, but your gut does so much for you don't even realize. So your gut monitors. It's almost like your second brain. Okay, and when I say your gut, I'm just talking about your overall digestive system. Okay, and that goes from your mouth. Your mouth is the start of it. Okay, and all your saliva, that's part of it. And that goes all the way down through your intestines, through your stomach, into your colon. That's all part of it. Okay, and if that's unhealthy or there's problems there, it's going to have ramifications further on in other areas. Okay, so it could be, if you have problems there, then you're definitely probably having testosterone problems. If you're having testosterone problems, you're not going to put on the muscle you want. It's going to be harder for you to have a lean body composition. And I just thought, I'd just chuck in a couple of photos of me here because I thought everyone would enjoy that. And the times in my life, I know for myself where my gut health hasn't been as good. I didn't know at the time until I sort of researched deeper into it. And I've gone pretty deep into lots of research articles. And you can get absolutely lost in it, into the supplements, into all the different systems, what they do. And what I'm going to do for you tonight is just give you a quick overview of what possibly could be happening in you or other people even, and what things that you can do about it. And that can help you obviously get optimal results, but live to your full potential. And that's what I want for people. I want people to be able to live to their full potential. And that's my whole thing. Even with RDC, I've trained and I've gone out and I've found systems to help people train at their best, to perform best on the field. But that's actually because I want you to live an optimal life. I want you to have the best life you can possibly have. I hope that makes sense. And I think guys that have been doing my programs for the longest sort of get that. Like, this is so much more than just a training. It's everything, Training converts over to everything in your life. You can use your training to build up other things in your life. So yeah, all right. So let's get into it. So gut health. All right. Hey, I have to remember how to move this. So something that I always used to hear is like, you are what you eat. But then it sort of turned into this for me. You are not what you eat. You are what you can absorb. Okay, so you could be eating the best meals out there. All right, you could be sticking to your calories, and you can be getting no results, or you can be getting like subpar results, and you might not be happy with that. Ooh, I've got a few more people to admit. So if you're getting subpar results and you're doing everything by the book, then there might be something wrong. And it's usually something to do with the digestive system. Okay, so let's look at that word absorb. Because a lot of people will eat good foods or healthy foods and feel shit. They might feel bloated. They might have brain fog. There's lots of different things. But because it's classified as healthy food, we just brush it off and say, oh, it can't be that. It can't be that. Okay? I hope I'm making sense. I'm hearing crickets here. All right, so what can we do? Or what happens? All right. So these are a list of things happening, that possible things are happening with gut disorders. Okay, so you can get nutrient deficiencies, you can get hormonal imbalances, inflammation, chronic stress, blood sugar dysregulation, and neurotransmitter problems. Okay, so like right there, I've literally just covered how your body runs. Okay, if you have, and I'm going to dive into each one of these, but any of these problems, how do you expect to live your optimal life? How do you expect to get as strong as you want to be? How do you expect to have the body composition you want to have? It makes it extremely hard. And I put this little photo here of me hitting the hammer because I like that photo. There's no other reason, but I like that photo. And it's like, I like to think of it as like, would you prefer running shit uphill, or would you prefer life being easier and more enjoyable? You know, you can still put hard work in, but you shouldn't always feel like you're up against the wall. Okay? All right. So a little bit of a dive into your nutrient deficiencies. And this is all going to make a lot more sense when I get down to like the possible problems. Okay, so your nutrient deficiencies. So your B vitamins. Okay, so you're from B1 all the way to B12. They are super important for how you feel in like every single day, how much motivation you have, how much strength you have, how your brain functions. And a lot has to do with the brain. Okay, and our brain health is super important for rugby, for strength training, for life, if you whatever you want to do. Right? If your brain's healthy and working well, you're going to be motivated, you're going to be clear, and life's just going to be easier. You know, you're not going to feel so anxious. This is why B vitamins are so important. And if you have some sort of bacterial overgrowth, and like if I say if you had SIBO, or if you had a yeast problem, which is kind of common, which I'll go into a bit later on, if you have one of these, and I'm not saying like these are, you know, the bacteria are the problem, it's the overgrowth is the problem. If you have any of those, then straight away you're going to be burning through your B vitamins. All right, because they're going to be trying to help you. All right, and that's the same for vitamins A, D, and K, and E. These are all your fat-soluble vitamins. You'll probably have a tough time absorbing them. If you have a tough time absorbing them, then it'll just go straight into your poo. Amino acids. Okay, so this is your protein. If you can't absorb your protein, how do you expect to build your muscle? Electrolytes. Right, these are what govern how much sort of power you can put into your muscles. All right, they're your key source of hydration. Like your electrolytes are everything. All right, they're how we send signals through our body, or part of it. And then magnesium and zinc, and these are big ones. Magnesium has over 900 processes in the body, enzymatic processes, which just means they help out with different parts of the body. And zinc is just as high. Zinc is the big one because zinc is how you make hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is what you break down proteins and what your gut puts out when you're actually digesting food. Okay, so and then we actually have a cruel cycle of zinc, because with zinc, I'm just going to check if anyone's here. With zinc, you actually can't absorb it without hydrochloric acid, but then you also can't make it. You can't make it without. You can't make hydrochloric acid without zinc. So you get this vicious cycle. Clear all drawings. I don't want to draw. Someone tell me what I did there. Oh, get back. Hey, hormonal imbalances. Look at this one. All right, this is probably me at one of my rippedest stages. Like I was just pretty much eating lean. Oh, actually not lean. I was just eating meats Okay, so I was getting a lot of cholesterol on board. So my testosterone would have been pumping. I was sleeping a lot. Like I was sleeping 9 hours, 8 to 9 hours a day. I was training, mainly body weight stuff actually. And my testosterone was absolutely pumping. Okay, but what allowed that to happen was me eating so blandly, and that's just because I was lazy. Like I just didn't feel like cooking heaps of different meals. Like I was on the road at this stage, and it was really easy for me just to cook very simple meals. So when you cut out all the processed foods, you know, things are coming out of packets, and you're sticking to lean cut meats and some carbohydrates like potatoes and rice. All right, your guts are going to be working very much better. Okay, so if you look at like the carnivore diet, that's sort of why it works for a lot of people. A lot of people feel better is not because, you know, it's some sort of magic diet. It's just because, you know, it's a restrictive diet which cuts out a lot of problem or things that people have problems with. Now, does that mean it's the best diet for everyone? No, it doesn't. Does that mean you should eat that way all the time? No. All right. If you're playing footy, you're going to need more carbohydrates. All right. It's very hard to get enough carbohydrates from just meat. Will you get all the amino acids you need from it? Yeah, for sure. Okay. But you're definitely going to need the carbohydrates. So if you have gut issues, all right, and you're not absorbing your food well, or you have some sort of bacterial overgrowth, your testosterone is going to go down. Your sexual health's not going to be as strong. All right, you're going to have higher cortisol. Cortisol is just a stress hormone, and it's not a bad hormone. It just helps you regulate your stress. So like when you're working out, your cortisol is going up. All right, when you're recovering, your cortisol should be going back down. All right, but if you have say you have a bacteria overgrowth like yeast, and you're finding when you eat a lot of sugar or carbohydrates, you get stomach aches, or you get bloated, or like you have gas. If anything like that happens, then you're actually raising your cortisol. All right, and then it makes it harder to have testosterone then. And then you have estrogen too. All right, so you might become a little bit more estrogen dominant. All right, you might start getting those man tits, which is fine if you want that. But if you don't want that, then we probably need to fix the gut. I wish Justin was on here to see that. I'll send it to him. All right. Neurotransmitters. Okay. This is the big one. I don't want to dive into all of these, but these really govern how we feel, how motivated we are, and our reward systems, and how well we sleep, how well we use our muscles, so much of this. So yeah, like norepinephrine, I hate saying that word, it's a really hard word to say. That gives you the go, right? That gives you when you wake up, that gives you the let's go and do something. All right, that's that neurotransmitter. All right, then we have our dopamine. Dopamine is our reward system. Okay, so when you do something good, your dopamine starts firing. You go, oh yeah, that was good. It's like working out, you get a dopamine hit. All right, when you go in, eat something that's like you're going to get a dopamine hit. When you have sex, you're going to have a dopamine hit. All right. Now, serotonin is a big one because serotonin is mostly made up in the gut. Okay, and it helps you relax. Okay, it's a big one for helping you come back down. So think of your dopamine as your go, as well as acetylcholine can be thought as a bit of a go. Same as norepinephrine. Whereas serotonin and GABA, they're sort of relaxed ones. Okay, so GABA is a big one as well, made in the gut. GABA is when someone's low in GABA, they're going to have a lot more anxiety. Okay, and if we fix the gut, then usually or sometimes we can get that GABA to start picking back up, and then we can help someone's anxiety. Now, why is that important? Because, and it's a simple one. It's just simple as, if you're getting anxious, how do you expect to perform your best? How do you expect to show up in this world at your best? The other thing with serotonin, they say 80 to 90% of it made in the gut. Yeah. Okay. So if your gut's not working well, you're not going to be making serotonin. Serotonin actually gets churned into melatonin. All right. So it's a little bit of a process there, but it gets turned into melatonin. Melatonin is what helps you sleep. Okay. That's the little hormone that helps you sleep. You might have seen people have melatonin and whatnot. All right, let's just talk quickly about these other markers. Here's me on the left here, inflamed, chronic stress, blood sugar dysregulation. Did I even spell that right? Let's make sure no one wants to join. Okay, look at those tits. All right, definitely I was yeasty because I definitely couldn't have beers. And when I had beers, I would always get really bloated really quickly. Okay, so I definitely get yeast overgrowth very easily, and it's something that I need to manage, and I manage that through my food. And everyone's sort of different. Everyone's got different microbiomes, and I'm going to get into how they get destroyed and whatnot in a little bit later. Okay, but if you're going to have gut problems, then inflammation is going to run rampant. Okay, so you look at me here. Yeah, I was big, but was I like this? Could you see my muscles? No. Right? Yes, I was holding a bit more fat, but I was inflamed. I was red. My arms were really red. You can't really see in this picture, but I was serious. I was red. It was just inflammation. All right, and around my legs were huge. And once again, it wasn't as muscly. I'm stronger now. I'm leaner now, but I was holding all this inflammation. Like I was wearing size 36 jeans, and I'm 176 or 177 centimeters tall. Like that's huge. That's massive. My legs were so big, and I had poor sleep. Okay, so if we want high testosterone, one of the number one rule is to have great sleep, 8 hours to 9 hours of quality sleep. Now, if you cannot regulate your blood sugar, you're not going to sleep well. You're going to be waking up around 3, 4, 5 a.m. and you're going to wake up wide awake. Okay, and that's usually down to blood sugar dysregulation. That's the quickest one. Okay, and all that means is your body's going into a state where it's like, give me sugar. So you wake up, you're like wide awake, and you go, oh, and cortisol actually picks up, and you go, oh, I need to eat. I'm awake. I'm wide awake. Why am I wide awake? It's just blood sugar dysregulation most of the time. Okay, and so if you're getting any of these, how do you expect you to sleep well, recover well, and have high testosterone? It can't happen. All right. So quickly what to look for. Okay, because there's a number of things that actually go on in the gut that you can have. Okay, you can have fungal infections, you can have parasites, you can have bacteria overgrowth, and besides parasites are not good. You don't want them. You want to get rid of them. And I'm not going to go through different protocols to get rid of that. But if you do think you have something like that, then you can work with someone about it. Fungal infections, where I was up to. Yeast overgrowth, which is bacteria overgrowth. SIBO, which is bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. And the one that I want to talk about the most today is low stomach acid. Okay, because that's probably one of the most common. I don't really meet many people who can have HCl, which is hydrochloric acid, and not get a burn, which means that you probably don't make as much as what you should. Anyway, So what to look for, and this could be for any, this goes over all areas of the gut. Okay, so if you have any of these, then you can go back and you can start looking at, okay, maybe something's not quite right in my guts. Okay, low energy, low mood. Okay, how many people do you know just like always sad, cranky, and not happy, or life's tough. Right? That's so common these days. And maybe it's a lack of purpose in their life, but maybe also that their gut bacteria just isn't what it should be, which then would be giving them the motivation, because their neurotransmitters will be working better to go out and achieve things and actually have a purpose. Okay, so poor sleep, like I said, I was just sort of explaining that one. Poor muscle gains, all right? So I don't want anyone in here to have poor muscle gains. Muscle is life-giving. Slow recovery, so if you find that you're always taking a long time to recover, maybe you're not absorbing your food very well. Bloating is a big one, so if you find you eat a certain food, and this can just be a certain food intolerance. It doesn't have to be a gut issue. You might just have a food intolerance, but it's good to know, right? It's good to be aware of it. Okay, so if you have bloating, if you eat something and you bloat up, you go, maybe that's not for you. If you eat something and you get lots of gas from it, okay, maybe that's also not for you. But bloating's a big one. And it's just becoming aware of it. Okay, if you get sick often, like if you're always constantly getting colds, nasal, ears, things like that, blocked noses, then I would say that there's something definitely going on, because the gut is the biggest part of your immune system. Okay? It is like your number one defense. Well, besides for your skin is number one, is actually protecting you on the outsides. Then your gut, everything from the inside. All right? We have all these amazing things that your gut does from when you get a pathogen or you get bacteria in you that shouldn't be there. With all these different like B fighter cells, and it's really cool. It's like Star Wars in my head when I look at it. Okay, so poor skin. Okay, so like look at your skin, and you've got flaky skin anywhere. Like if people get flaky feet skin, you see those disgusting feet. Or pus, a lot of pus or infections in things. This is usually due to gut bacteria. It's caused usually yeast in the too much yeast in the stomach, and it's not talked about. But dandruff too. So all these things that are coming on the outside are just signs that things on the inside aren't actually right. And it's just becoming aware, and that's why I'm doing this, is for you to become aware. Okay, you might have these things, and maybe you can do something about them, and maybe you can look a bit deeper into it. So fungal infections, burping after meals, that's a sure. If you eat a meal and like you're always like burping a bit, or just you're not quite feeling right, indigestion, that's all low stomach acid. And I'm not being mean to doctors here, because this is just what happens. But if you go to a doctor and you say you got like reflux, they're actually going to give you on a stomach acid blocker. And in reality, you should probably go the opposite. And that's not medical advice. That's just something you should play with yourself. All right, check your poos. Like I could do a whole thing on poo, which is pretty sad. But look at your poos, all right? What color are they? Are they hard? Are they soft? Are they, does it look like they have like fat on top of it? Like it's like a film on top? All right. That was like a sure sign of you actually looking at your poos and saying, okay, I'm actually digesting my food properly here. All right. It should be like a dark brown. Even if the coloring's off. If the coloring is off, that means you're missing out processes that your stomach and everything's meant to do. Other signs around the body is if you're fairly lean and you hold fat around your lower abs, around your love handles, usually a sign that you're not digesting your food quite as well as what you should. Can be other reasons, but that is usually one. And I know I can hold fat down on bottom of my, so like I've always sort of had stomach issues when I try to really bulk up, put a lot of muscle mass on it fast. And I hold fat like right down the bottom of my abs straight away. And it's just straight away a sign to me, okay, my stomach's not liking this, or something's going a bit out of whack. Okay, so like these are sort of the starts here that you can start looking at. Other things you can look at is like redness around your face. If your nose gets really red after eating, if you look at your nails, right? If you just have a quick look at your nails, if you see any white dots, all right, that can be a sign of zinc deficiency. If you don't grow nails very easily, once again, zinc and collagen. All right, so things that are actually hurting your digestive system. All right, these are some of the big ones. Okay, so antibiotics, got nothing wrong with them. I've got nothing against them. They have helped lots of people, but the problem is they're overprescribed and they are actually in our water supply, which means that you're always getting a little bit of antibiotics in you. All right, and antibiotics' role is to kill bacteria. And our gut is full of bacteria that we want because it helps us. So antibiotics, if you're going on antibiotics, then which you might need for some sort of reason, that's fine. What you would do then is you need a probiotic to compensate that. But yeah, it can be quite devastating to your gut microbiome, and most people don't have the probiotics or the prebiotics to come back and actually help that. So unfiltered water, okay, so filter your water. Get yourself a little water filter. And that is my go-to. Like you should be filtering your water. Our water is full of chlorine. It's full of other stuff too. Like they've done tests where they found all sorts of things. What do I want to say? Yeah, anyway, filter your water. Like it's got so much rubbish in it. It's just so much easier if you filter your water. Anyone else? I'll speed this up. Glyphosate, okay, is what they use in Roundup. It's once again made to kill bacteria. So eat organic where you can. It really does help. Gluten, I don't actually have like the biggest problem with gluten. The problem with gluten is actually when it has gluten in it, which is an enzyme which actually can get into your gut and it tears apart the walls of the gut. Okay, and when you get these tears in the wall of the gut, when you eat something like food, the food can actually get into that and actually get into your bloodstream. And when that happens, your body is like, what the hell is that? That shouldn't be there. And it goes and it attacks that. All right, it literally sends things to attack that. All right, and then you'll get bloated and you'll feel sore, and yeah, that's the start of IBS. What you can do with gluten, try not to eat as much, like heaps of gluten. All right, if you're going to eat gluten, try and get it organic gluten stuff. Sourdough is much better because sourdough is fermented, and when it's fermented, you don't actually get the gluten enzyme. Okay, and the gluten is actually the problem. So gluten, not the problem. Gluten is just a protein. Gluten is the enzyme which can destroy the guts, which is pretty interesting because people are like, oh yeah, gluten's really bad. The other thing with gluten is like, you know, people have been eating grains for 10,000 years, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is actually how we farmed the grains. Okay, so we've genetically modified it so we can grow it faster. And what happens from that is that the gluten content increased tenfold. Okay, and because the gluten content increased tenfold, the gluten went with it, and yeah, and therefore we have gut disorders, too much stress, lack of recovery, they're big ones. Lack of key building blocks for the digestive system, which I'm about to talk about. In how to heal the gut. So rotate your foods. Don't always eat the same thing. Even if it's meat, try and rotate your meats. All right, and that's just giving your body different. It looks at different things, so it's not always eating the same thing. Because if you keep eating the same thing, it will cause you a you'll literally make yourself what's the word? Intolerant to it. That's it. Okay, so things that really heal the gut are bone broth, okay, slow cooked meats, organ meats, omega-3s, and vitamin D. You need all those things in combination, which make all the different parts of the gut. Okay, the lining, of all the different molecules it needs. It's really interesting, okay? So collagen you get in bone broth. Collagen is what your joints are made up of. If you start getting low in collagen, you'll actually start moving it from the joints, interesting enough, into the gut. Okay, so if the gut is low in collagen, it'll get it from your joints and it's going to make your joints weaker. Okay, so collagen from bone broth. Bone broth's really simple to eat, to make, and I can't recommend more organ meats. Okay, like I have liver capsules for days. Like I have like 10 a day. And it's just so high in B vitamins. Like it's ridiculously high in B vitamins. So if you want higher testosterone, B vitamins that you go to, reducing stress and giving you everything you need. Trying to speed this up now. Vitamin D, that's massive. Vitamin D has so many roles in your body, and I'm not going to go into more here, but if you can get some sunlight without burning every day, fantastic. If you can eat things like bone broth, slow cooked meat actually has vitamin D in it. Same as your cold fish, your small fish, like sardines and things, quite high in vitamin D. Yeah, colostrum. Okay, so colostrum is one of my favorite supplements too, because it is a protein that comes in the very first couple of weeks of a mother's milk. All right, and it has lots of growth factors that are especially important for building the gut. And yeah, it's really good. The other, what was I saying with that? I use it to also to help me build muscle mass. That's another reason I use it. You can get bovine colostrum, you can get goat's colostrum if you can't handle milk. Probiotics and prebiotics. So your sauerkrauts, your yogurts, these are your probiotics and prebiotics, okay, which are going to actually help that gut bacteria. All right, I don't talk too much about the gut bacteria because they don't know enough about it yet. They know it's important, and they know you should have, a range of bacteria. There's a few well-studied ones now that are coming out with your probiotics, and I can look at those a bit later on. Not tonight. Okay, so the big one is low stomach acid. All right, this is really common. And if you want to build muscle, if you want to be healthy, if you want to have good clarity, stomach acid is really important. And even body composition. Okay, low stomach acid is very common. And like I said before, it's because people don't have zinc. Zinc isn't the way we've farmed crops and things has meant that the zinc content is far less than what it used to be. It's minimal. So if you get a good zinc supplement, that can be really helpful. But then sometimes you can't absorb it because you don't have the HCl. Okay, so a zinc carnosine can offset that because zinc carnosine is actually bound to a protein. Okay, and that sticks around in the gut for a lot longer. Anyway, hydrochloric acid. So actually, I take HCl with most meals because I know it really helps me. I feel a lot better and I digest my foods a lot better. Okay, so you can get that as a supplement, or you can try and pick up your acidity by having lemon, lime, and salt in the morning. That helps. or apple cider vinegar before meals, or awesome bitters. Okay, and just some of the, like I said before, I did talk about stomach acid a bit before, but look at, if you get a red nose, like I'm often get a red nose if my stomach acid is low. Yeah, if you get a red nose, that's a clear sign. If you feel like you need to burp after eating, if you just feel like, yeah, you get that indigestion, that heartburn, it's usually low stomach acid. Yeah, cool. I know I sort of rushed through that at the end. I'm going to stop sharing. All right, we pumped it out. All right. Now, anyone, if you want to ask me questions, go nuts.
Hello, Patrick. Question from me.
Hello, Bo.
Why do you do the apple cider vinegar thing before meals? What's the benefit of doing it before meals rather than after?
It makes your stomach more acidic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then it means you can absorb your food better.
Gotcha.
Pretty simple.
Hi, Pat.
Hi. I don't know who said that. Who said that?
Cameron.
Oh, all right. It was still on Bo's camera.
Yeah, get out there, Bo. He's taking all the airtime. You said before that to try and switch up your meats, etc. So, for example, like I eat steak every day. Is that something you should try and break up and then have a day or two off, or
it helps if you have different cuts.
Okay.
So like even the slightest different cut of meat has slightly different enzymes with it.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I get Mackenzie's meats, right? And now like my meat box, like I've got the rump steaks, I've got Scotch fillets, I've got the lamb, I've got oxtail, which is off the bone, right? Good for the gut. I've got the brisket, another off the bone cut. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just about mixing it up then, which I guess I already know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Patrick, can you hear me?
Oh, rude.
Oh, hey. How often should you have like offal, like the off cuts and stuff of meat?
As in like liver and stuff.
Yeah.
As much as you like. It's probably they're by far the most nutrient dense parts of the animal. They're like in terms of B vitamins, enzymes that the body needs, they're by far the highest. And vitamin A. I didn't talk a lot about vitamin A, but vitamin A is another really part of the immune system. And everyone that wants to build muscle, feel healthy, needs a strong immune system.
So if you're going to only eat meat a few times a week, that would be your go-to?
That would be part of it. Yeah, that would definitely have, I would still have muscle meat, but because they do have different qualities, like your muscle meat has a lot more amino acids, but then I would definitely have that somewhere in there. It'd be a good mix. It's up to the person. Most people don't like liver. It's kind of a strong taste. You have to be English.
Thank you.
Hadley, you can talk, mate. Hadley asked, can having vitamin tablets help? You can talk, mate. Just because you're half caste doesn't mean you can't talk.
No, this is my first time in ages.
Thanks, mate.
But is it fine to have like vitamin tablets like magnesium, like zinc and all that?
Yeah, just have a look what's in them. Like the only problem with those is if you go and buy cheap ones from like the supermarket, same as fish oils, they're usually rubbish. And they're cheap, and the manufacturers who make them are just out to make money. Okay, so like they'll put on the label magnesium, right? And they'll say magnesium is good for sleep, muscle recovery, soreness, and all that rubbish. Okay, but then in the ingredients it'll say magnesium oxidate. or yeah, I think it's oxidate. Okay, and this is with most supermarket brands. So you got to look at the brand and you got to look what's in the ingredients, and it'll say, and what magnesium oxidate is a laxative. It's in most laxatives. So you probably don't want that type of magnesium, right? It's just how it's bound, and that's what it's going to do for you. What you want for recovery is magnesium glycinate. GLYC something NATE. I gotta actually write it out. I'm a terrible speller. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, that helps because I got a
same as zinc.
magnesium tablet.
Yeah. Okay. So like go and look at the ingredients and take a photo of it. Take a photo of it and you can send it to me on Instagram.
Sweet.
And I'll explain it. And that goes for any of your supplements. Like if you went and got a multivitamin, which I don't usually recommend, I'd rather just if you're going to get a multivitamin, go and get liver capsules. That's pretty much nature's multivitamin is liver capsules. And the best thing about liver capsules is actually in their bioavailable form because it's in food. Compared to what you might get in just a multivitamin, which will most likely just go through you because it's not in the active form. Okay, so for a multivitamin to be in its active form, it's got to say methyl before it actually says what it is. I know that's probably a lot to take in.
Pat, I've got a question. Is there any particular brand or website that you would recommend for us to buy these vitamins or supplements from?
Depends what it is. I can make a list tomorrow and put it on my website and send it to people if you want that.
Yeah, cool. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah. All right, I'll do that.
Thanks.
Pat, it's Rory.
All right. Hey, Rory.
Hello there. On that fuel thing that you sent through to me, you highly recommended oysters.
Yep.
Obviously for zinc.
Yep.
At what quantity should we be eating those? Is there an amount that we should be eating per week, or 1 week on, 1 week off? 6 a week. Okay.
Yeah. But like that can be quite expensive for some people. The zinc tablet can be cheaper, but I love oysters, so I usually have 6 a week.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you really, if you guys really want to go into it, like you could go and get your bloods done, and then you can start analyzing yourself, which is always quite interesting because, bloods are just a snapshot in time, but it's starting to get data. All right. And when you have data, you can start to analyze and say, okay, I'm currently here in these levels, like maybe testosterone, estrogen, whatever it may be, whatever you want to look at, vitamin D, some of these big markers I can actually show you. In my website, I actually, part of the members stuff, I actually have blood work, I think it's like month 6 comes out for everyone. But I can share that around a bit more in how to look at your bloods and just start to get a better understanding of yourself and start to take control of your own health.
Hello, Patrick. Bo again.
Hey.
Hey. So obviously everyone's a little bit different and has different sort of, body sizes being endomorphs, ectomorphs, that sort of thing. Does that stuff matter or apply when you're talking about gut health and intake of nutrients? Is there specific rules for certain body shapes or types?
Well, everyone is totally different, man. Like everyone is totally different. Everyone's got slightly different microbiomes, and in general, one man's treasure might be one man's poison, or one man's I think I screwed up that. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's a matter of, I guess, like testing, learning. You can check your blood and do that sort of thing if you want to. But there's doesn't sound like there's like an overarching principle that, hey, if you're an ectomorph kind of like me, you should be kind of focusing more on like these 5 key sort of nutrients or something like that.
Look, I don't want to say there's not that. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
All I know is like the best thing I can show people is just to start actually getting data on yourself. start taking data and be like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't optimal for me. Maybe I don't actually run so well, as in like your body running so well at these levels. Okay, so like everyone should be sort of experimenting on themselves to some extent to just learn. And because think about your bloodlines, right? French Mauritius, which is quite close to the equator, is that right?
Yeah, like close to Africa, mate.
Yeah, but is it close to the equator?
No, I'm same area as like Perth, I guess.
Oh, okay, well that's right. That's different. So the closest your bloodlines go to the equator, say like your Croatian and things like that, you actually have quite different microbiomes, and you actually do way better off eating a lot more carbohydrates and fruits, just because that your bloodline literally would have eaten that more throughout the year. Whereas the further you go away from the equator, usually the animals would get bigger as they went away from the equator. They'll be smaller at the equator, like they'll be, generally smaller and leaner. So you can actually look at like your bloodlines and your genetics, and then you can start making better food choices that way. And you might start finding that, oh, okay, I run better eating more carbohydrates. My guts work better eating more carbohydrates. My guts work better eating mainly meats. And I know for me, like I have a high meat diet, and that's when I feel my best. And I'm saying you can't do the opposite. Like some people might eat mainly vegetables or fruits, and that might work really well for them. And that's probably a very true statement. So yeah, in terms of like differences, like people need to sort of experiment on themselves. Sweet. Anyone else?
Hey Pat. I'm not really. This question isn't really for gut health, but it's just mainly just for like rugby.
Yeah, man.
Do you think like protein powder's like ideal for rugby players, like in terms of like trying to gain mass sometimes?
Yeah, it can be quite a helpful tool. Like especially if you're not getting enough food in. I always try and get enough protein in the day. So like the recommended for athletes is 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. But like you can push that up to 3 grams for sure. Like the studies on that on athletes, especially, like you can push up your protein intake. But what you want to do is when you're taking your protein shakes, if you find that like you're getting those shitty farts and like you feel like a bit flat, maybe that protein's not great. Okay, so first of all, you want to try and get your protein needs met from your actual what you're eating,
Yep.
And then protein can help assist the rest. So like maybe after a workout, protein's been shown to enhance recovery if you have it straight after a workout.
Yeah.
Did I answer it?
Yeah, that answers it. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks for jumping on, bro. If you guys want to ask stuff about rugby, go for it. If you want to ask anything.
Pat, I have a quick question. It's
Go,
Matt.
mate.
For someone who's got an English heritage, what sort of protein split would you recommend, noting that what the comments that you made before about close to the equator and so forth?
Well, I'm English-Irish. Does that answer it?
Okay. So what sort of diet do you have then? How much more protein, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I have a heavy protein. High in protein.
Okay.
Like I eat 3 or 4 meals of meat a day, and then I have veggies with it and potatoes, and just depends. Like depends on my day. Depends how much activity I've done. So today I worked out twice. My second workout wasn't the big workout. It was just it was a smaller one. So yeah, I'm going to go and have a whole bunch of potatoes and beetroot. Beetroot is another good one if you want really hard pumps. But yeah, so like I'll have more meat, especially in the morning. Like I have more meats in my morning, and like so I protein, fats in my morning, and then I have my carbohydrates in the afternoon. And that works well for me, but that might not work well for everyone else.
Okay. And then I do tend to fast in the mornings. Would you recommend having protein in the morning as a first meal, say a few hours within waking up? Or do you think, like, what's your thoughts on fasting and then or having a meal in the morning?
Play with it. See what works better.
Okay.
Because some people will just love fasting because they'll find that their brain works really well. Like intermittent fasting, like we have this sort of mechanism built into us, which would have helped us hunt things in the morning when we would have been hungry. When we wake up, it's like, oh, I've got to go find food. So if you got to go find food, you got to be clear. Your brain has to work really smoothly. So some people will find that, you know, they won't, if they don't eat for a little bit, like they feel really clear, their body goes into ketosis and they can get stuff done. If you're trying to build muscle, I don't really recommend that. I don't mind it like one day of the week if you're trying to build a lot of muscle, where you just have a bit of a rest, give your digestive tract a bit of a rest because it does need a rest, like it wants a rest. Give it time to actually heal itself. I don't mind that as a tool. I usually eat breakfast around 8:30, 9. I do my workout first up, and I just have essential amino acids beforehand, and then I work out, do my weights. And it's probably not optimal, as in for heavy strength work, but it's optimal for me and my days because I just get into my day, and then I go off and I have breakfast. And I usually recommend meat for breakfast because once again, it's got B12, B6, and it's going to fire up your dopamine, acetylcholine. So you want to go and do stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Cool. Hope that makes sense to people. That's why I don't have cornflakes and other rubbish.
Just sorry, just going on the back of what that last bloke said. When we train, we normally train on an empty stomach, and I feel good. And like you said, I normally have a clear mind. I, sometimes even delay having breakfast even though I'm hungry because my mind's clear. I'm smashing workout. But is there, if I play sport, I find I need to probably be somewhat fasted, close to the fasted side rather than the full side. I feel I perform better. I might feel heavy. When it comes to weight training, though, is there something to be said to train on with food beforehand, or?
It depends on the person. Like I much prefer training on not a full stomach. Like yeah. I feel a lot more clear, especially playing footy. Like if I'm going to go play footy or something, like if I've eaten too much, like I feel awful out there. And I've done it before. I've done it plenty of times where I've eaten too much. I'm like, I feel heavy. My legs are heavy. Everything's heavy. And like, it's literally like your body's still digesting. Like you have to think about this. Like your body is actually doing all these processes. And if you know that you're not thinking about it, the body is still thinking about it. Your body is still doing it. Okay. So it's still taking up energy. Digesting food is taking up energy.
Yeah.
It's actually taking up brain space. You just don't know it.
Sure. Sweet.
Yeah. So and that goes for sleeping as well. So if you eat really late, then your sleep is actually going to be compromised because while your body's supposed to be healing itself, it's still recovering. It's still it's supposed to be recovering. It's still digesting. Okay, so still spending energy on digesting rather than doing everything else like you should be doing, like clearing the glymphatic system and lymphatic system, both those systems.
Sweet.
All right, that'll do. I'm hungry. Thanks for coming on, everybody. I must eat before training. Yeah, I'll do this again probably 2 weeks. And maybe I'll dive deeper into this topic or I'll do another topic. Well, I'll just see what the people want. All right.
Awesome.